This is going to be a tutorial on how to do whispers. There's a couple of different ways to handle this. I'm going to try and show you a more beginner-friendly route. I may have some execution mistakes along the way, but for the most part, I'm going to try and give you the best way to handle this without using self-destruct. I'll throw in self-destruct at the end of it. This fight is very long without any of that stuff, so first things first, you're going to end up with time warding from Genova. You can delete this for something else. I would suggest doing so. Cloud also probably needs to have, let's see here, HP up, Skillmaster, HP up. So what we can do here is, you're going to want to, you don't need the extra wind materials, so give me a second to set this up real quick. Skillmaster, yep. Okay. Now, Cloud will go with Steadfast Block, and refocus, I think? Yeah. He needs refocus. Or he will need refocus at the end. Lightning for this, lightning for that. So now, really. Okay, so Synergy. Synergy is something I would avoid using as well. It's something that you can do to get additional damage, but it also can make the fights unpredictable. The only person I would consider putting Synergy on is Barrett, to get some extra damage out. But it will make him very vulnerable, so you're better off not. Just make sure you have Healing, Magnify on Barrett, and Revival. You can also make sure somebody else has Healing and Revival too. Like Cleansing will get turned into Revive here as well. So you want to make sure Barrett and Tifa both have Revival and Healing as your backstop. You're going to want Lightning for certain routes. You may not need it. Time Warding, once again, can be cut, and it will be. I'm actually going to take this off for Steadfast and Refocus. Refocus isn't super necessary, but I am going to put it on because I would use it normally for a couple of different versions of this fight. Barrett's Wind can go to Steadfast, I believe. Skillmaster Stagger, Binding. Binding is also not needed as well. So we'll put an HP up on, or MP up on him rather. So we'll go for Steadfast. Let me see. Actually, what's his MP at? 94? He can stay with Steel Pincers, though. I don't have to take those off. But I should, actually. I don't think Overrun's gonna fly. Well, we'll stick with the Steel Pincers, actually. We want to give Goddardummerung to Cloud instead of Tifa. There's a different strat where you can put Goddardummerung on Tifa. We're also going to give Cloud Chainbangle back. Chainbangle won't make much of a difference, but you can grab it just in case. It will give a little bit of extra defense and make your life a little bit easier. You could also put on one of the super high, like Astral or Iron Maiden bangles. These ones down here, Astral Cuff or Iron Maiden, which has a really, really high defensive stat, if you would like. I find that it's not going to end up doing much. Steadfast is going to be doing most of the work for you. Synergy. You could put Synergy on Aerith as well, but you'll end up losing. You'll end up getting your limits stolen by her, so let me double check everything and then go over it and explain why everything is where it is. So Barrett, Skillmaster. This Binding can be HP up. We're also going to cut one of his luck ups for MP up. This is not necessary. The luck ups aren't necessary, not anything else. Aerith is never going to have HP ups, unfortunately. Alright, so here we go. We're going to put Cloud on Hard Edge, Chainbangle, and Goddardummerung for this setup. Barrett is going to be... You could put him on whatever. I prefer Steel Pincers. Upgrade weapon. I guess I haven't upgraded this yet, so I'll upgrade it real quick. I'm using my PC version, which has, like, some of my saves aren't updated completely. Healing cost reduction is actually going to be really nice. And then MP regeneration boost. I think... Yeah, we'll add ice damage. Not like it's going to matter, but... Now we basically have everything except for that last slot of materia. Tifa, the reason she is not fully maxed out is because of, in terms of movement, you want to make sure to not start with Omni Strike. So that's actually something you're actively avoiding. I guess I can power up the materia slot. There you go. Okay. So you're going to want to... obviously, you're going to want all your stuff maxed out. Even no matter what you do, by the time you get here, your weapons should be maxed out. So Ice Elemental is a pretty strong tool to increase damage. I'm going to keep it on Aerith as well. You could alternatively put this on Tifa, but it's not going to do much because Metal Knuckles has ass cheeks magic to the point where it doesn't add much. And Cloud, it's kind of like a eh. It's more so that Cloud needs to have ice than anything else. So the Elemental is just kind of like a sure, why not? Steadfast Block is something you want to put on your main three, Barrett, Tifa, and Cloud. They're going to be getting hit a lot by the Whispers, so this will reduce the damage and build a bunch of ATB really fast. And put you in a pretty good position. Refocus, we're going to use this right off the bat to split Cloud's ATB into thirds, so that I can take advantage of using a lot of counter stances really quick. ATB Stagger should not activate in this fight because these enemies stagger on game mechanics, not actual stagger. So this isn't really useful. This would be more useful for Sephiroth than anything. HP up speaks for itself. Survivability. Skillmaster will also see some use because we're going to... Because we're going to probably use more than more than 3 different commands. First Strike, self-explanatory. Cloud's going to be in the party. We want to start this off with a bang. ATB boost can kind of go anywhere, but we're going to put it on Cloud anyway. Steadfast Block, same thing. Skillmaster. Skillmaster may come up a lot less with Barrett, but it is still something to keep in mind. MP up, Luck up. HP ups, you know, it depends on if you want a tanky Barrett, if you want a healing Barrett. Luck up if you want to have Barrett to try and do some damage. Revival. Synergy isn't really needed. You can put this on Aerith if you want, but like I said, she might end up stealing kills and stuff. Or staggers, which will affect you being able to get limits, so I'd suggest just not using it, to be honest. Refocus, this is an artifact of a different route that I do, where Tifa gets Gotterdammerung. Rung. I'll show you that after this one. Steadfast Block, same thing. Revival and healing. This is for Sephiroth's phase, and a little bit for this fight, too. Once you get to Sephiroth, sometimes the fight can go wrong. If anything, like, the additional materia on Cloud, like Refocus, depending on how you decide to do it, Stagger or Skillmaster can be cut for those healing materia. I'd say Tifa's the best because you don't want her to get hit anyway. So her ATB is a little bit more usable because you're gonna be kiting the damage with Cloud and Sephiroth. The trick with the Whispers is each one of the Whispers focuses on a different character. The red one focuses on Cloud. The blue one focuses on Tifa. And the yellow one focuses on Barrett or Aerith, depending on which part of the fight you're in. Staggering a Whisper with a character will give them affection points, is the easiest way to put it. And doing those will determine who comes into the fight. So basically, you don't want Barrett staggering or killing anything. You want Tifa and Aerith doing all that. It depending on how you want to do Sephiroth, depends on who you want to get first. I'm going to set it up so that Tifa is first, and then Aerith is second, because the first 2 phases of Sephiroth are resistant to magic. The third phase is not, so Aerith don't do shit till we get to phase 3 anyway. But Revival, Lightning we need so that we can give the big guy to Tifa. Healing, obviously, is kind of self-explanatory. Parry, this is a good movement tech. I've been using it throughout the entire game, so you guys already know that parry is really powerful and you want to keep it. Skillmaster, ATB Assist. In this fight, I would definitely put on Cloud over anything else. So we'll just swap out Refocus. No, he's going to use Refocus. That's actually incorrect. So what we'll do, instead of ATB Boost, we'll... well, actually, ATB Boost will get activated multiple times. We'll take Stagger off for the assist. It's not important, but it will help. So we can kind of move that over here. Refocus, like I said, old strat. HP up, self-explanatory. You need to have 3 out of the 4 elements before starting this fight up. Sephiroth can, in Phase 3, will spawn in an elemental shield. And you need to hit him with the opposite element. For whatever reason, he won't ever start Ice Elemental. So you really only need Ice, Wind, and Lightning. You can add in Fire, but you do not need it as long as you do the fight properly. So keep that in mind. Aerith is going to have her same setup. MP ups, Magic up, First Strike, MP up, Stagger. That's it. You never really change her setup throughout the course of the entire game. You very rarely come out with anything else. You can do some changes, like cutting the MP up for Synergy. I wouldn't really suggest it. It's a little bit too complex. So we're going to go through shortcuts here. I'm going to kind of pick up what I would have for Sephiroth. I believe what I want is Disorder. Actually, I'd probably put this on. We'll stick with Disorder. We're going to use Counter Stance here, since Punisher swap is Triangle. Braver, that is correct, and Focus Thrust, I'd say, probably. What do I have? Yeah, I think Focus Thrust is probably the best to put here. So a lot of... Well, no, Infinity End, actually. Because we're not going to use Self-Destruct, so I need a high damage output. So you want to put Kirga Magnify on Barrett. And if you're going to max out your HP, you can also go with Regen Magnify. I find that that's pretty decently useful. It's a lot of HP ticks, and will get you in a pretty decent position. So let's just put Regen Mag here. We'll cast that on Phase 1, and then we'll have Kirga Magnify just in case. Arise, Max Fury. It's kind of whatever you want him to have equipped here. Whether it be Steel Skin, or Maximum Fury, or Point Blank. I'd say Max Fury is probably your best bet, because you will need it in some of these phases. You can alternatively downgrade him to Fire in the Hole. So if he takes enough damage, he may get a limit. Odds are it won't happen. Tifa, same thing. You can downgrade her to Somersault here. Because you might get a limit. Star Shower, Dive Kick, True Strike. Let me take a look at her moves. Yep, that's what you would want. Dive Kick, you can cancel out of Uppercut into and do a lot of damage. Double Star Shower hits like a truck. That's about it. Tifa... The Soul Drain isn't super necessary, but mainly what you want is this setup right here. If you are going to add in a fire materia, you can cut that elemental pretty easily for it, and then just make this fire go. I'll leave it Soul Drain. You're probably not going to activate Soul Drain, but it is a thing that you can do if you really want to. So I'll try and show you how this fight goes now that we're in 13 minutes into the freaking video. There's a lot of setup for this fight, and it's not exactly the easiest. So we're going to be spamming a lot of counter attacks on the enemies. You could speed these phases up pretty significantly by using self-destruct over counter stance, but I don't believe that's a good strat for a new runner. So we're actually going to just refocus right off the bat. And get on in here. You can hold the refocus until you get to your party members and save that animation. I would not suggest it. It was something I thought about early on. Don't do it because it puts you in a really bad scenario where time is flowing and Cloud isn't doing anything. So a lot of these fights, we're going to Punisher into counter stance. So I'm going to attack until Red starts swinging at me. Go for a Punisher, and then immediately activate Counter Stance. And Counter Stance is going to do 99% of the work here. You can use basically anything you want to get through these fights, but I'd say counter stance is the simplest way. There are, I believe some of my older videos has the far more optimal way to do this on there, but I'll try and explain it right here. It's been a while since I've done this strat, so I will be a bit rusty, and this might look a little jank, but trust me, this is how it goes, to some extent. Counter stance.
I see you.
That's basically what you're looking for. So all we're looking for right now is to just get rid of red. So since we lost a lot of HP, there... Did it? Really? This game is being really obnoxious right now. I can't believe it canceled out so much of that. So you want to just chill out over here. Once you take care of red, it doesn't matter. You're trying to minimize the amount of actions you use so that the next thing is coercion. This will push you into the next phase. This is what you're looking for. If you were on self-destruct strats, you would get this coercion much, much, much sooner. But it also requires you to go through this fight with only basically base HP value, no HP ups at all. Your materia is too restricted to add any cute stuff in. The best you could do is remove HP up for HP or HP absorb for HP up. And I really don't think that's the right way to go about it. So what we're trying to do here is save up limits. So let's get on in here on this guy again. Then you wait for it, wait for that, into counter stance. And then you start swinging away. Okay, I really expected to get hit by that lightning, but alright. So you can Braver, Disorder, whatever you'd like to do. Just try not to waste a ton of ATB if you can. So Reformation, you want to keep moving because that throws a giant block of shit where you were. Unfortunately hit everybody from behind. So right here, if you're on a melee weapon, Barrett's ATB will get used to do Focus Shot. So what we're trying to do is get Barrett to cure everyone and lose up some of his ATB. Ah, shit, well, he used it all again. That sucks. So right there, we're going to go for Cura. And then Barrett will gain a little bit of ATB. Hopefully what'll happen, if he's on a melee weapon, he will use Focus Shot here and use all his ATB up. So if you need to heal or want to activate haste or anything like that, that's the best time to do that is right then and there. So this next phase is a little bit tricky. You need to attack. You need to counter with Punisher, counter stance, attack one more time to close in, Punisher counter, and then counter stance again. Counter stance actually. So we're gonna zip on in here. Counter stance. But you see, if you counter stance again like I just did, you panic it out. You just need to, whenever you see Impale coming, go right back in. You can Infinity End any of these phases if you would like, to make sure that you hit through your damage values. Or you can just keep swinging away like that. I'm also going to regen with Barrett here to reapply regen on both Tifa and Cloud for the final phases. It's not necessary, but making sure that everything is flowing well and you have plenty of tools is your best option. Barrett is only going to be available in this next phase, and then he's going to go bye-bye. As you can tell, Tifa and Barrett have done jack shit right now. Cloud is the only one that's done any work. So Barrett's done a bunch of actions: Cura, Magnify, Regen, Magnify, Cura, Curaga. So he does have a lot of affection built up. We can very easily sidestep this in the final phase. So I'll explain kind of setting it up. But basically, do as I do, and make sure that the yellow one gets staggered by Aerith, and Tifa staggers everything else. Or kills the... Just make sure the right person staggers and kills. Just follow kind of the same pattern I do. So what we're going to do is we're going to ascend right off the bat here. Into blue. And what we're hoping is this ascension will hit both blue and yellow. We're trying to get like a really weird setup here. Okay, limit onto blue.
Let's dance, asshole.
So what we're looking for is both of them to get tagged by that part right there. I'm gonna have to overrun into Infinity End.
Don't stop now.
Barrett into Max Fury, that guy. So right here, Barrett's going to be doing annoying damage to yellow. If I had Max Furied yellow, it probably would have kept him in the right spot. By the way, your physical attack can't block that, but counter stance can counter a lot of Corsio's moves. And we'll just keep going. I think Barrett did that, actually. That's kind of incorrect, but okay. ATB boost and another Braver, I guess. So we're just gonna counter stance down Bahamut here. I'm also okay. He doesn't have haste. I was gonna apply haste to Cloud, but Barrett doesn't have it in this setup. Normally he has time, but I think I overlooked it when I was doing the setup. You normally want time for Arsenal as a backup. That fight can be pretty vicious. I'll do this fight one more time after this. But this is super safe. And it gives you a lot of HP to play with and a lot of ATB. Usually end up with a lot of limits too. This fight can be pretty volatile, but at the end of the day, it's the first two phases where you're trying to be very specific about just taking red down and then waiting. I can show you how self-destruct functions, but this fight's a good 11 minutes without without any self-destruct strats. So we're just gonna roll up here and push some damage. Okay, that was my fault.
Anytime.
You want to hit me, buddy?
Gotcha.
Yeah, that was my fault. I knew it was going to happen. So, there's a couple of ways to put down Bahamut. You can either Thundaga to get him tired, or you can double Star Shower and use some counter stances. I'm going to Thundaga just to get him pressured and keep him on the ground. Thundaga.
No holding back.
Thundaga again.
It's on you.
And then we're going to Tempest in. And then you want to Star Shower with Tifa. Okay. Now we're going to switch back to Cloud here. I'm actually going to not do what I normally do here. We're going to start for a counter stance.
Here we go.
And keep on pushing in. Till we get the stagger here. Infinity's End.
It's over.
So, between Bahamut and the big boy, Cloud can get the staggers on these guys. And that'll usually give you Tifa in the final fight. I would show you, but like this fight is already long enough. It's very hard to show both at the same time. And Sephiroth is something that I need to prep for completely separately. It's not the easiest of fights. So I'm just going to push on in here and try and Star Shower. Okay, True Strike. Okay, good enough. So, right now, Tifa has killed Bahamut, and Tifa has killed that Whisper as well. Aerith gets twice as many points every time she does something, so she'll end up getting more than anyone else. I'll revert to the no God or Dummerung strat on Sephiroth, because I don't feel it's quite that difficult. Once you get to this point, you should probably be considering... There we go, that's correct. Infinity's End. True Strike. Good. HP. So I'm going to make sure Tifa thunders Whisper here, and that will put her in the final fight. And then we'll do this one more time with this setup. And then I'll real quickly, as quick as you can, show self-destruct Whispers. I would not suggest it, but I will do it just so that I can explain it. Spell Thunder. There you go. So we can skip there. And what I'm gonna do is just skip and reset. Retry from first battle. Be careful. As you can tell, there's no yes or no option there when you reset from first battle. This will be a way you lose your run at some point. That's just how it is, unfortunately. Sometimes you accidentally select the wrong thing. Actually, I am going to back out, so I have Ascension on a shortcut where I would like it to retry from the first fight. What? Me? Hold on. Yeah, counter stance. Instead of Bravery, we want Ascension here.
Ready?
Hold on. I gotta check something. I've never seen that option come up like that before. I guess you can retry Sephiroth if you accidentally screw up. Huh. We'll have to test that in a second. Oh yeah, that's right. You want to refocus immediately. Refocusing doesn't do you anything too particularly special. You want to make sure you start out with at least like 1 to 2 bars, or else this fight can be pretty obnoxious. Like I said, if you're wanting to see this fight done a little bit better, there's other versions of it. I believe my older Whisper fight, that's a standalone video without commentary, will have this on it. If I don't, then I'm surprised. It is a much older strat. I believe Internet has a similar one in one of his older PBs as well.
We can beat them.
There are other runners that have videos up. This one, I'd say, is probably just safer for a new runner. Because the SD requires a lot of game knowledge and a lot of recovery. So we'll just start the timer here, even though that's not when it starts. So we're going to swing on in and get enough ATB here. Counter stance. So you really don't want to see Crimson Twist, but that's just how it is sometimes. Okay, that was incorrect. Okay. Braver? Okay. Wow, that was actually really cool. You go. So right here, I'm going to keep an eye on Barrett and make sure he doesn't get hit when I try to have him cast. The one thing that stinks here is those lightning bolts can tag your party, and that's not something you really want to see. But yeah, it's basically a waiting game now that we've seen the Involation. Now it's Correction. Now, like I said before, self-destruction, the moment that you SD Red Boy into... So you want to be across the map right there, so you get blown over here. If you're anywhere else, you get blown towards that area instead of away. You can be dodge rolling here, but to be honest, like, it's not super important, but it is something you can do. So this will end up being a much longer video than normal. Sorry for anybody that did want to see, like, I was doing a speed run today, and then I messed up on Hell House, as you do. It's very easy to underestimate a lot of these fights and expect them to be very simple. So that's kind of what you're looking for right there. Normally your combo will be enough to pressure before you get hit by anything. And then you can just disorder or something. I'm just using disorder because I'm very used to having access to it. No matter what you do, you're going to end up with taking an attack from Big Boy here. We're going to try and manipulate Barrett's ATB here. Also, you want to be on this end so you get blown towards the bus instead of away from it. I'm also going to unlock on just so I can kind of see what's going on. That should be the last regular attack. So the blue one normally doesn't try to hit Barrett. The reason it did is because he... Okay, so if you can manipulate it properly... the thing here is Focus Shot will take a full ATB from Barrett, or 2 if it's completely full. So you can re-up your regen there if you really want to, or a couple other things. But if you're on a gun, he'll use Overcharge instead. Either way, Overcharge gets used up if you have a gun, no matter whether it's on charge or not, whether it's completely available or not, and same thing with the ATB, so...
No holding back. Come on. Try me.
Yeah, that last one's a little jank. You have to, like, do an attack to move in to the Whisper.
See ya.
Infinity End as soon as you can. This is a matter of, like, the Skillmaster. Using counter stance into a lot of different things will get you into a pretty decent position. So you can do a lot of things here. You could switch to Barrett if you'd like. But I'd say for the most part, you really just want to start with Cloud here and go into Ascension. You don't need to shortcut Ascension, but you will end up using it at least twice. Once here to try and one-shot both the yellow and blue Whisper, and then again on Sephiroth, if not 3 times on Sephiroth, depending on the way you do your strats. If you use it 3 times on Sephiroth, you're in a really shitty position. Same thing here, you could possibly use Ascension 3 times. Once again, though, that means you've gotten bullied pretty hard, so... it's your choice. If you're used to doing limits through the tactical menu, then you're probably fine with it. I could have regen to their Magnify like I did last time, but I really don't care enough. Tifa's HP is way too high for me to worry about it. So we're just gonna start off with a Ascension, and then this time I'm gonna do things a little bit different because I remembered that I kind of did it wrong.
Big one is way over there.
We want to Max Fury the blue one right off the bat with Barrett. So this, okay, Cloud into Ascension.
Nothing personal.
So the Max Fury should poke before... Alright, that stinks. Unfortunate. Infinity End. Alright, I hit the yellow. That was a pretty interesting way to hit, to be honest. So you may notice that I'm not using ATB boost. Okay, that's really funny.
No holding back.
So right there, since I multi-hit the game... Counter stance, of course, counter stance all day. This... No reason to not counter stance that as many times as possible. Might as well just build the bar naturally at this point. I could have Infinity End and then ATB boosted, but I'll hold on to it. Barrett. Regen, mag everybody again. Should be able to get that off, and we recap. So the things like doing that regen magnify aren't necessary, but they will be something that puts you in a much better position. So next will be the SD version.
This can't be our future.
I'll probably cut that into a separate video. Yeah, I think that's the best way to handle it. SD is a completely different beast, and it's not something that I would lay a tutorial down for a beginner. Genova, I will research my older method and relearn it just so I can do a tutorial video on that. It's not the best method, but it is pretty safe and has a lot of backups in it, where your ATB is not usually so tight that the moment you go off script, the fight is a complete shit show. Obviously, a lot of these endgame fights are going to end up like that because the bosses are fairly strong, but we'll be fine. So go in here, go for the counter stance,
Still here.
take the additional counter and push on through. So we're going to Thundaga with Aerith here twice. Actually, let's just...
Let's do this.
Bingo. Yeah. There. Go on. One hair shot. There.
bonk. There we go.
I see
You serious with this? Okay, I got very lucky there. Okay, we'll go with an infinity end here.
That's it.
Now.
Oh, it took... I love it. You gotta be careful with ATB boost because it can get eaten by this cutscene. I'd suggest only firing off that ATB boost in an area where you're 100% sure you can get it. Just remember that we're killing these with specific characters to make sure that we get them in Sephiroth.
Think so.
Star Shower.
Try me.
So we want to make sure Tifa gets that.
See ya.
Infinity End.
Ready. Do it.
Okay. So we want to make sure to give at least one Whisper to Aerith. Like I said, she gets double points, which will be more than enough to keep Barrett from being part of the final fight. If you really want to meme lord your way through it, you can get, you know, Don't Care and take Wolverine.
We did it.
I'm thinking too much. You could take Barrett into the final fight. So we're going to Thundaga.
How's shocking?
Okay, so we want to make sure that we get this with Aerith instead of anyone else. And then Infinity End here. Okay, good. I wanted to make sure to have enough ATB on Aerith that I can thunder the big boy. This is why you need lightning. Wind will also work if you would like to put that on Aerith as well. You can go that route. So it's looking like you don't want to bother downgrading your limit because you will need Dolphin Flurry for the fight that I have. Let me retry from first battle. So we'll do one more loop of this.